Alrighty. We are ready to go. It's Fresno State week. It's the first week of the season. We're going to bring our friends in on Facebook where we're going to talk about just an amazing game that we've been waiting for. It's hard to believe that it's actually here, but yes, Hawaii football will take the field against Fresno State. Their rivals, the longest standing rival, a rivalry that's kind of on the side of the Bulldogs right now, but we know that UH is going to put everything into it to be able to get the victory on Saturday, and we're really excited. And it's also going to be the home opener, or the home opener for Fresno, but also the season opener for both teams, and the first Rainbow Warrior football game for head coach Todd Graham. Not since Bob Wagner in 1987 has a UH coach won his debut, so we'll have to be looking out for that. In his previous head coaching jobs, Graham was actually 3-1 in his debut. So maybe luck is on our side for this one. It's going to be a tough one heading up to Fresno, but we had a chance to hear from the coach and just hear what he had to say.
Before your first game, where you're at, but how do you feel about readiness for Fresno?
Yeah, I think we're in the same boat they're in. They probably had the least amount of practice. I think it's going to be, I'm really trying to make sure, with our younger coaches that we're really smart about what we do, and I think that's going to be the key in this first game. Whoever wins the turnover battle will win the game. We can't beat ourselves with stupid penalties. So we're fully capable. We have, obviously we got guys and very, very capable. Obviously, the strength of our team up front on the offensive line. I think we got a really good receiver core, really good quarterback, and really good running back. So, we're a veteran team offensively, even though, we graduated, I think, the top 3 receivers. But, the guys we got some guys. We got quality players that can run, that are good players at receiver. At running back as well, I think we've got a really strong backfield. Feel really good about Chevin. We take care of the football and don't have stupid penalties. Feel good about where we're at there offensively. That's probably the biggest danger. The biggest danger is in execution. And if you try to do too much, or if you beat yourself, and that's been the biggest thing. We don't want to turn the football over. That's something that is a big step, and we want to get takeaways. So I think offensively, that's probably the biggest danger, is just shooting yourself in the foot. So that's going to be important, that our plan and everything we do, that we don't do that. And I feel confident our guys are going to be ready to play. I know they're excited. Defensively, it's probably where it's the biggest difference. It just absolutely, we felt like that. We're trying to keep as much similarities as we can with the attack and 4-down stuff. But it's hard because, we just feel like, we want to get better. We want to be a team that's not giving up, 33, 34 points a game. And so that's where the most change has came, as far as just the terminology. And even though there's a lot of similarities with, they didn't attack as much, obviously, but they run similar front stuff. So, just changes in what you call things and coverage and language. That's where the challenging part is. And then, special teams, that's an area that really, I think, should be a strength for us. We got a whole bunch of guys that can run, linebackers, safety type guys. That's where we want to win special teams. We want to win the turnover ratio deal, and we don't want to beat ourselves with stupid penalties. We do that, and I feel really good about where we're at.
All right, so that was Coach Todd Graham. New season, new year, new team, new look. He talked about having Chevin back, which is great for our offense. A bunch of new faces, a bunch of guys he brought in. We're going to talk about the depth chart, but we're also going to look at this matchup from a historical perspective and realize that this is going to be the 53rd meeting between both these schools. So that there's been a lot of drama, a lot of intrigue, a lot of just gritty moments that have happened in this rivalry. And there have been, and we'll share some with you. So we'll talk about that. We're even going to bring in a Fresno State fan, one of my pals, but a hardcore Fresno State fan. So he's going to talk about the game from his perspective. We're going to talk about the screwdriver incident in 2002. If you see next to me, I have a little screwdriver on the top, a little in a what was a kind of a joke at first, but Coach Rolovich talked about trying to come up with the golden screwdriver as the trophy for the rivalry. But that was just a mock-up. That didn't happen. But we're gonna talk about what inspired the screwdriver, because that was in 2002. And actually, that's such a great memory. Lau Lau had talked about that memory, so we're gonna talk about 2002 from the eyes of Lau Lau Head, our friend Shane, who shares one of his favorite memories from this rivalry.
Just in time, you back to 4th down. Maybe the ball game on the line. Hawaii has no timeouts remaining.
The rivalry with Fresno. I know everybody's gonna mention Worcester first game, 1999. The overtime game in 01, but for me, I'm gonna go with the 2002 contest up in Fresno. Timmy Chang hitting Britton Comine on 4th and 4 for the go-ahead touchdown with 2 minutes left, giving UH its first victory at Fresno since 1973. I'm gonna go with that as my favorite Fresno rivalry memory.
So looking back at this crazy rivalry, that game was in 2002. That was the first time UH had won, I think, at Fresno since 1973, like Shane had said. And that was a huge game because that was also the time when, DeJune Jones and our new offensive philosophy was starting to really be set at UH, starting when June Jones came in 1999. Kind of when this, new philosophy, new strike fast, put up points offense came to Hawaii, and that has been a big part of this rivalry as well. Ironically, in 2016, I'm going to go back to the 2016 game because that's one of my favorite memories. I was at Fresno in the stands with my friend. Shout out Tom Kitaguchi. Shout out Junior, who lives in Fresno. There's a picture of me and Junior. You can see us in the top corner over there. But Junior, who lives in Fresno, we'll see him, I'm sure, outside the stadium as this coming weekend. But we got the birds. The birds came out from the Fresno State fans because this happened. So let's see if that works.
The way goes. It's blocked. It is blocked. Hawaii has blocked the field goal by Cody Cronin. His game's over. Hawaii wins 14 to 13.
Rolovich.
Wow.
Big day right there.
I cannot believe.
A fun night. You can hear us screaming. You can actually probably still hear us screaming there at from that night in 2016, 14-13. That game ended. Stephen Lakalaka scored a touchdown right on the drive before that, put UH up 14-13, and that field goal that was blocked with no time on the clock. I was sitting right in line with that, at the line of scrimmage, basically. So that was pretty cool to see that. We got some comments. Brandy says, "Ask him if we can get us a game." If Coach was live on my show, I would ask him any question, but unfortunately that clip was just from the press conference. Timmy says, "I remember screaming my head off when Timmy Chang, the other Timmy, hit Britain there for the dub in Fresno. Voice was raspy as hell for a couple of days, for sure." And Fuchsia says, "Nice shirt." So I got to shout out Baseballism. If you want to take a look at some cool new gear, this is Baseballism. Shout out Travis Chalk over there. He sent me over this shirt. So support, any local businesses, of course. And Travis being one of our very own local boy. It's his company. I actually got to go to his storefront when I was in Cooperstown, New York. He wasn't there, but on our tour, just briefly, when UH played at UMass in Amherst, we actually went to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Cooperstown. We actually went to a Red Sox game and a Yankee game in the Bronx. But in Cooperstown, there's a baseballism store, so you find a lot of cool items there. And I'm making such a long commercial for him. You gotta send me a few more shirts now. Nah. But this is something very positive for us. I don't want to downplay it. Of course, it's going to be very difficult. And like Coach said, we don't know. It isn't here yet, so we got to watch out, right?
That's my deal. Is that everybody says, "Man, can you believe it's here?" And I said, "Well, it ain't here yet. I want to get on that field and play a game, and then get to the next one, and hopefully we'll be able to." That's what I tell the players, man. We just got to work really, really hard, and it's really.
That's right. You got to work really hard. Now's not the time to sit back and wait, because this is the moment that we've been waiting for. We're only about 3 days away from kickoff. It is on Saturday the 24th. It's the Rainbow Warriors. It's the Bulldogs. 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. in Hawaii. It's going to be at Bulldog Stadium. I'm going to be there. I'm lucky to have gotten some media credentials, so shout out there to the Great Sports Information Office there at Fresno, and providing me access. So I'll be able to provide access for all of you as well. Got some great, just in addition to the wonderful media coverage that we're already going to have from Hawaii. But I'm pretty excited. It'll also be my 61st game in a row, so I know some of you see me as the fan, and I am. I'm Wayne Coito, the fan. That's what I am. I'm just a fan of UH. This is something for me. This show, this Hawaii Sports Fans, is something for me to express my love for UH and for this team and for traveling to games mostly. So under Hawaii Sports Fans banner, I've taken people all over the world: Australia, New Zealand, Michigan, Ohio State, all the biggest stadiums. We've been to Manhattan and stayed in Midtown, Washington D.C., everywhere, Miami, Las Vegas, San Diego. So hopefully you can join us when we can fly again. But in the meantime, I want to be bringing you some coverage on my end, and this rivalry has been something that is in my life been really memorable, because it seems like every time we play this team, something crazy happens. Last year, we'll talk about that as well, the last meeting, but we dropped that one at home. And that one, it just seemed like our team was just a little bit off. So every time we play Fresno, we never know what's going to happen. Peter logged in and says, "So ready for Warrior football." That's right, Peter. Fuchsia is at work now, but just jumping on to say hi real quick. So Fuchsia, she's going to be there in Fresno. So a lot of fans, if you're in the comments, say hi. Tell us if you're going to be there in Fresno, because some of you I know want to just be in the town. And I say go for it. Why not? Be there and have fun, and hopefully you can find some people to chat with as well. But this game obviously is going to be it's going to be under very strange circumstances. We'll put it that way. Obviously, COVID preventing any fans from entering the stadium. So California, also one of those states, is kind of they've thrown out the idea of really crowds at any sporting events for a while. So I don't anticipate there being crowds at any events in California, at least till 2021. So it is a long shot, I would say. And in Hawaii, they've already announced, like we said, no fans at Aloha Stadium. So it's a risk. I'll be saying I've been doing the show since the beginning of this pandemic, and what we've talked about every week has been the fact that this is a risk, right? We can't be completely safe, but such is life, right? For all of us, when we go out, we have to live through this pandemic, and football, we can do it safely, and so far we've demonstrated that we can be something that a lot of us look forward to in this pandemic itself. But like we said, that Fresno State game is going to be under really strange circumstances, and we heard from Coach. He talked about that yesterday as well.
115 people to stay 6 feet apart and wear masks and dress them, train, lift, athletic training, and practice football is a major challenge. And
so, like you said, right? We don't know until earlier we're gonna make it. We just got to make it to that first snap. We're so close to that first snap, but anything can happen. And all the work that has gone into making this season come together is really important to identify just how difficult it is to put on undertaking like this. It requires a lot of tests. That the team is testing 3 days a week. And tests are pretty difficult to come about. You know, it's not easy to just get a test. So a lot of money is being spent on tests, and that's something that the Mountain West is covering. So that's something that's nice to know as well. That's a huge expense that the teams, none of the teams in the Mountain West have to worry about, but definitely a major expense there as well. With this game not having fans, there won't be any revenue in the stands, so a lot of it will be with television. Of course, this game is going to be on Spectrum pay-per-view. We talked about pay-per-view last week in my show, so you're going to go back and watch that show, talk about pay-per-view and that deal and what it means. And we talked about with actually current mayoral candidate Rick Blangiardi, who joined our show a few months ago, and he was one of the formative people who helped negotiate that initial television contract. So having his perspective is, I think, really valuable. And moving forward, obviously, this pay-per-view contract was just renewed, so it's something we're probably going to have to get used to. But this game alone is something of a anomaly in that nobody can even go to it. So a lot of the philosophy right behind having pay-per-view is you can prevent people from not attending the game, right? You have to buy it or you can be there, but nobody can be there. So pay-per-view should be free. I think that the game should be free, and I hope that we can renegotiate that. But that will be a way for you to watch it. Remember, you're not supposed to be being in large groups, so hopefully the pay-per-view doesn't create massive parties. That's one thing, because we definitely want to keep it under wraps. This is already something, at least our parties, right? We can't go all out that we have in previous years. Can't have the massive tailgates. Maybe some close friends, but smaller groups. So we don't want to make super spreader events out of our viewing parties. But this game on Saturday is going to be one that will be watched around the conference. Last year, this game, Chevin started it actually and didn't finish it. Actually, did he start this game? No, he didn't start this game. He came in this game last year, but Cole started this game last year, and he didn't end it because Chevin came in, and it really wasn't a great game for Cole. It was one of his off games, but the Warriors dropping that one 38-41, and I mean winning at halftime 24-14. That was a major bummer to have such a big lead at halftime, and the third quarter just kind of got away, and then in the fourth, they put up a few more points, but that was last year and this is this year. But we have a lot of the same players from last year, and that's a great thing. And that's something that we can definitely look forward to for this game. And I'm looking forward to the players that we're putting on the field. Of course, Coach Graham. We talked about his offense. If you go back and watch the show a couple years ago, I talked about, or a couple years ago, felt like a couple years ago, 2 weeks ago, right? We talked about Coach Graham's base philosophy and something he's done everywhere, every stop, right? He even reiterated that. He's like, no, this is what we run, right? I hire you, you run this. This is the system. And it's been consistent, and he's been consistently good wherever he's gone. He's carved up yardage, he's put up points, and this year it looks like he's prepared to do the same. When you look at the wide receivers across the board, starting with Jared Smart, a guy that we had last year and put up huge numbers last year, was one of our top receivers last year, especially as we lost JoJo Ward and some of the guys there, Bird. But this year having Jared Smart, and he's joined again by Lincoln Victor. Melquise Stovall comes back. You remember that Rolo actually released him from the team, so he was a transfer, a D1 transfer from Cal. A guy that I'm actually really excited to see more, because ever since he got picked up, Rico Busey, I believe that he was actually, so he's from Oklahoma. I thought he might have started at Oklahoma. He transferred from North Texas, but he might have committed to a bigger Division I school before that. But while he was at North Texas, I mean, he was 4th in the program's history in receiving touchdowns, all conference first team. They're in the Conference USA, and he was named Biletnikoff watch list. So this is a player that can make an impact right away, and I think that's really important for this offense to be able to have guys like that right off the bat. TJ says, gonna miss the great tailgate gatherings. I agree. It'll make the next one even more special. Totally. So this is your time to really appreciate what you have, right? Because sometimes you're just like, oh, it's another game. It is what it is. But you never know when your next one's coming. Like, we really didn't know that we'd be waiting this long for another game. But obviously, it's here. So we're excited for it. Whether we got to watch it on television, whether you get to be there, it's here. And it's exciting for every fan. And it's exciting because we see a lot of familiar faces. And of course, I talked about our quarterback already, Chevin, and I'm really excited for him because, this will be his chance to really take the helm. And it's going to come with more responsibility and more pressure. Obviously, backing up anybody is a lot easier than starting. I mean, not having that pressure. And I love Chevin, and I mean, he put up magic. I mean, his games against Wyoming, the games against UNLV when he was a true freshman, his 3 comeback victories in his first 2 seasons. Just incredible memories already. I can't remember. I mean, I can remember so many Aloha Stadium moments, but one of them that will be always vivid is this that long bomb that he threw, Chevin threw in the Wyoming game, and UNLV game. It was almost like deja vu. It did it over again. So excited about his arm. Excited about what is to come in terms of his development and how he's developed in the offseason. That's going to be exciting as well. So excited for Saturday, says Deanne. Yes, we are. Cave, Warriors are back with the 8 island style attack. That's right. So if you support our boy Cave, the Bo Flow, he's going to have so many great rhymes this year. I'm excited for it too. Definitely. Looking at our running back situation, that was a place that Coach said he was actually pretty excited about, and we had some depth. And Miles Reed, shout out to his mom who comes to all of his games as well. And hopefully, I'm not sure if how many parents are gonna drive up to Fresno, because there are a lot that live in California. So every time the team plays in California, a lot of the same parents come up to the games. And because I'm at every road game, I've gotten to know a lot of them. I've gotten to know a lot of. It's crazy, parents that come in and they're gone, and they come in and it's like seeing kids graduate and come through. But you get to stay, hopefully, friends with the parents for a long time, and they come back and support and stay fans, because that's what we want to do, right? We don't want to just build this fan base from the parents and the students, and yes, those are really important, but we need to build people from just the fan base, from the core, and developing true fans who just love our style of play, love our school, love the uniforms, whatever. You can attract people from all over the place, and definitely the style of offense is one that is meant for that, and will require, because of the timing, you can't let anything disrupt the timing, and this offensive line is certainly one that's going to help a lot. Il Manning starting at left tackle, just one of the best players on the team, obviously, in terms of the recognitions he's received and how dependable he's been. Just one of 2 UH linemen to start all 15 games. And that's something that is so difficult to do when you are in a position like that, battling injuries, being able to, just have that, take hits on every play, get pushed. And it's really impressive. Il Manning, then on left tackle, left guard, Cole Leval. Another guy, Remington Trophy watch list guy. And at the center, last year's offensive MVP of the team, Tonga Tuilima. Having him, having Solo Vaipulu, having Gene Pryor back again. I mean, this is impressive to have this entire line that is just been so stout back again. That's definitely very exciting. And they have a whole list of people backing them up, and we're excited about them as well. I got to bring up Dior because we talked about him a lot in that show, Dior Scott, who's right now listed as backing up Jared Smart. But Dior featured on the Netflix series Last Chance U, Laney College. So if you go back, Oakland's pride and joy up there. What a great story, though, living in and out of his car. just working fast food jobs, doing whatever he could to make his dream come true. And it's really amazing that we get to see that dream materialize here at UH. I mean, that's just really incredible and a cool story, and something we want to keep watching as well. Back to the comments. Deanne says, I'm really leaning towards spending that $70 this Saturday just because it's been too long and I want to see the start of the era. Yeah, and that is something. I think a lot of people are going to be really tempted to get the pay-per-view. And I agree, it's not something that is almost feasible for a single family sometimes, because the $70, of course, if you can afford it by yourself, one person, that's great, right? $70, one person, one screen. But a lot of people, they split it or something. So, that's the hard part, and that's why in Fresno they're showing this game for free. And I think Fresno negotiates all their other games with Fox as well. So that's something to think about. I think going back to that 2002 era, June Jones era, and having a lot of our games on television, those late games particularly, were huge for the program. Letting people see us play, it might be midnight on the East Coast, 1 a.m. on the East Coast, but people are still up, or, obviously gamblers in Vegas are watching our game. And that was a huge part of spreading the brand, the Warrior brand. And that's definitely what, Coach June Jones wanted to do. On defense, starts with, Penei Pavihi, of course. Last year, we were super excited for him to break out, because 2018 he had such a good year. But he had that injury right before the game against right before the game against Arizona. So that was a huge loss, because 87 tackles in 2018, and he was third on the team that year as well, with 6.5 tackles for a loss. So he's a guy that can get into the backfield. We're excited because we need that pass rush. That's something that has that's something that has been lacking a lot. And coaches, he talked about that. I played that clip earlier of Coach talking at the press conference. Is we can't put up those points like last year. Can't put up 30, 34 points a game. That's just not something that you can do. And I'm hoping that people will be able to see behind that. Pretty soon I'm gonna be bringing on my friend here to talk UH and the Fresno rivalry from the Fresno side, but we'll do that in about 10 minutes. So if you can hear me, Mr. Freddie, I'll be with you in about 5-10 minutes. But we're looking at our defensive chart right now. Blessman Ta'ala, obviously a guy that's been playing for a while. He's back. Jonah Lu'ulu, Darius Muasau, the Milani product, somebody that really plays with a lot of heart, and a local boy that I think really epitomizes what a lot of us local fans are looking for in the talent here, to come here and just be able to play above expectations. And that's exactly what we need at this level, at Division One, Group of 5, mid-major, whatever you want to say. It's important to find those diamonds, those guys that might lack some of those physical characteristics, but the intangibles you can't teach. And definitely the local boys, I trust their intuition, I trust their football IQ, and I know a lot of them are given such a solid foundation upon which to build from as football players, that I think that's why Hawaii players have been successful all over the country. That's why you're seeing even skill position players going everywhere from Hawaii. We have receivers at Texas A&M and Notre Dame. We have quarterbacks obviously all over the country, and quarterbacks in the NFL. We already know it's the Dolphins are going to play a guy from Hawaii starting next week full time. So Hawaii, so much talent, and a lot of that is obviously keeping guys home, which is difficult. Not everybody wants to stay home and go to college. I didn't want to stay home and go to college. I went to college in New York. I mean, as big as a UH fan as I am, I knew when I went to college, I was like, I don't know if I would go to UH, but it's just something that a lot of kids on the island grow up with, wanting to move to or just experience life on the mainland. So, but all the local boys that stick around, we're so excited. Jeremiah Pritchard, kind of a local boy already. He's been here for a while. His fifth year, I believe, already from American Samoa. But he's there at the linebacker spot, which we are looking forward to seeing play, because that's supposed to be one of the stronger units And playing in this War Dog defense, that unit will have a lot of freedom, a lot of liberty, but also have a lot of responsibility. And Corey Bethley, of course, a guy that is a true veteran, a guy that the other players look up to. I believe also named captain this year. A big one there. And then Quentin Frazier at the other linebacker spot. Cortez Davis coming back. We talked about his huge pick 6 last year. That was so fun to watch. UNLV. And our friend Eugene Ford, his mom and dad, always joins us on road games on the mainland as well. So shout out to his parents, Daddy Senior and Mom as well. And then we got Kai Kaneshiro at the other safety spot. And of course, local boys right there, another St. Louis product. Tiger Peterson backing him up. So 2 local boys at that safety spot. Something to look forward to. And then if you look at the special teams, a new guy at kicker, a new punter. Wyatt is going to be long snapping, so that's exciting. Stan is still there to hold, and Lincoln will be running back kicks with Melquise Stovall. And Stovall ran some punts back before as well. And then Day Hunter, we didn't really talk about him that much, but a guy that is coming into the program with a little bit of a background, or a guy that had a pretty successful high school year or a high school campaign. So somebody that we'll be looking forward to seeing play. He's from Denver, Colorado. 5'10", 200 pounds. Freshman running back. Day. Let's see if I can bring in my buddy. But can you? Let's see if I can get him to come in. We're going to talk about... Oh, there he is. There's the man. All right, so I'm going to... Oh, he got his Fresno gear on. All right. So I'm going to bring him in. We're going to talk... who would have thought I'd be talking to a Fresno fan? But I don't just talk to any Fresno fan. I'm going to talk to the man himself. Let me bring him in, though, real quick. I'm producing at the same time, so... Thank you, everyone, for your patience. This has been a great week to reminisce of some of the UH games of the past, and I feel like we've only been doing that for so long. A lot of us have just been like trying to get our fix watching games from before, so it's nice, I will say, that we finally get to actually see games, that actual real games, and it's gonna start very soon. Oh, you just came off real quick. Alrighty. There we go. Can you hear me, my man? Can you hear me? I think you're muted a little bit right now. I got you.
I could hear you.
Okay. So you're wearing that Fresno shirt. You're one of the few people I'm gonna let wear.
Yes.
Well, introduce you. Tell everybody who you are. Tell them how we know each other and how your connection to Fresno State football as well.
Well, we met mutually through soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Group. Funny thing, I'm from far away, as you can tell. I don't live in Fresno. I live about 30 minutes south of it, in a little small town by the name of Riverdale. I grew up there all my life.
Riverdale,
and stuff like that.
Huh?
So, yes, tiny little town. No stoplights. No, nothing.
Really?
So, yes, really.
Wow. Okay. So what?
Convenience.
Wait, Riverdale. So what? How would one get there then from LA?
From Fresno, you take the 41 south.
Okay, 41 south.
41.
So maybe Riverdale.
41 south. Correct.
So this Fresno, what is it like? Fresno fans are like kind of known, even in Hawaii, as being like pretty rowdy, pretty. They're very prideful. I know people in the Valley are like super prideful about being from the Valley, but what is it about Fresno State?
Yes, we have our diehards. It's with the times. You win, fans show up. You lose, they don't show up. They want to see a good product on the field. But you still have your loyal fans that are going to come out no matter who it is, because at the end of the day, you're out there supporting the kids.
Yeah, of course.
Well, at the end of the day, you're supporting the kids.
so many. The support there is crazy. I've stood on the side of that Red Mile before when I've been to Fresno, and all the guys outside lining up the band, and just talk about what the atmosphere is like if somebody's ever been to a Fresno State game at Bulldog Stadium.
Well, like you said, they walk to the back, and then you have the crowds on the side, being cheerful and all that stuff like that. And they can get a little rowdy, especially when the fans show up, and when the opposite team shows up and stuff like that. So it's even the kids can get rowdy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie at all. It's just it's college football. What do you expect? What do you expect?
Well, but this is something different. I feel like every time Hawaii plays Fresno, first time I ever went to a game there was in 2010, and I was lucky because we won that game. And that's not we have only won there a few times, and I was there the last 2 times we won, which is nice. But you take a lot of jabs on both sides, and I think like they have fun with it for the most part. I mean, just talk about like the Valley people.
At the end of the day, it's just a game. Of course, you're gonna have battles because usually where I sit, my buddy, he's got season tickets. We sit right next to actually the visitors, the parents where they sit. So we go back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's just a fun game.
Okay, so you're by the visiting section then, huh?
Yes. We're on the opposite side.
Well, we were talking about that the student section being moved. We brought that up, and that was a direct result of the screwdriver incident. So talk about from our perspective. Just to give people the background from and what people on our side will say. I'll say June Jones, after the 2002 game, I showed that clip earlier in the show. This was Shane talked about that was his favorite memory, was June Jones, was that game. Timmy Chang hitting Britton Komine 4th and 4, 2 minutes left in that game. And after that game, June Jones swears that somebody threw a screwdriver at him. And I don't discount it. I don't see how you'd make that up. But no screwdriver was ever found apparently or ever recovered, but what you're saying is still there are consequences, and we'll talk about that.
Yes, those consequences. I remember that incident. Nothing like they never found the screwdriver, of course, but it could have been something that looked like it. But back in those days, they had the student section sit behind the visitors. So imagine how rowdy students got in alcohol mixed together. It wasn't fun for the visitors at all, just to say that. So after that, the student section got moved over to the south and away from the visitor section. I mean, you could still, they're right across from each other, but eventually administration moved the student section across that way. There wouldn't be no more screwdriver incidents anymore at all.
Did you hear about the screwdriver trophy that was like endorsed by our old coach, Coach Rolovich, in 2016 when he was like, we should have that golden screwdriver? Have you heard of that? I don't know if you saw the photo.
No.
Yeah,
No,
so that was something, and he tried to like push that, and like Bleacher Report or some other had like picked it up, but it never went through.
Been a fun trophy.
It would have been, right?
Yes. I feel like in the 2000s, like that was the years that the Rivalry, got pretty good. I mean, you know how many good players came out of those years.
Of course.
Both Fresno State and Hawaii produced amazing players, and a lot of the players ended up in the NFL. And they came from a little tiny conference, the WAC back then, which a lot of people didn't really look into. But the time back in the day, we didn't get too much TV time. But when Fresno State and Hawaii would get on ESPN, they would put on a show.
Every single time.
I think in those years I was barely getting into high school, so I was watching. I didn't attend my first Fresno State game ever was I think I was 10 or 11. My aunt took me. This was I don't know if you remember the year they played Oregon State, and Oregon State was ranked supposedly preseason number 1.
Mm.
And it was 2000 and something.
Okay.
And that game, I think they had what's his name? The running back, Jackson. Steven?
Oh, yeah, at Oregon State, yeah, Steven Jackson?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, and
yeah.
they were highly ranked preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my very first game as a kid. My head took me. The fans stormed the field, and that's back in the day when everybody started doing that, the mid-majors being, the power conferences,
of course.
Slowly, Fresno State and Hawaii were pioneers of the mid-majors getting exposure, and, slowly, the mid-majors started competing with some of the bigger universities and colleges and stuff like that.
Well, that was also the time, if people remember, Fresno played USC in the Coliseum, and that game, Fresno didn't win, but pushed them to the very end, and it was like Reggie Bush and like Lionel were playing in that game. I believe like Lendell White was playing in that game.
That was a heartbreaker.
Yes.
That was in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
I believe USC was ranked 1 and Fresno State was ranked 15. And they gave Fresno State no chance that game.
Mm-hmm.
But they took it to them. I remember I was watching it because I was a senior in high school that year. And all of our football players and stuff, we were watching that game. And we had a few of the guys on the team that were USC fans and stuff like that. But that game was one of the most amazing games I've ever watched for Fresno State.
I know, and even a lot. So we know what that feels like as UH too, because you're like, man, sometimes you get so close. That's like it's basically a win,
Yeah, and like anytime you see a team from your conference, go up against the big boys, you kind of want them to win because that helps you out. That helps you out in the long run.
And Fresno, like you said, a lot of those guys though they were part of those squads that maybe not were nationally acclaimed, but some of them went on to the NFL. And of course, like Billy Volek, I remember him very vividly.
7, yes,
because in his
Titans.
game, that was the best game of my probably UH Fresno rivalry '99 when UH won the WAC championship, beat Fresno at home from worst to first, losing every game in '98 to winning the WAC in '99, the biggest turnaround in NCAA history at the time. But doing it against Fresno made it extra sweet, of course.
Right.
But after, it's like it was just rotating chairs, and then the Carr brothers came, obviously having David first, who I thought was probably better than his brother in college. I don't know, but his brother might have, his brother has more protection for sure.
I think
in the
his
NFL,
brother played on a little better offensive line teams, but
yes,
I know David Carr played with a future Hall of Famer. I don't know if you remember Logan Mankins.
Oh, that's right, of course, that's right.
Yes,
that's right.
So that was his left tackle for a few years. So that guy was I believe a walk-on. A lot like you said, like Hawaii has the same. And a lot of the kids are walk-ons, and then they make something out of themselves and stuff like that.
Well, when you look at this, like you said, the recruiting, we're trying to get like those guys that are kind of tweener guys that might not go to a mid-major. Like you already said, you have friends. I'm sure the kids there, it's like, I want to go to the Pac-12. And what is it like, though, for some of those kids growing up or playing in high school in California? Is that kind of the thing that everybody looks forward to? And they're like, oh, if I have to go to the Mountain West or something else? Or what is it like for kids aspiring to college?
I think around where I live, the smaller communities, it's a little harder to get noticed. But you'll find one or two gyms. I mean, prime example, Allen from the Bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Fresno. We talk about him all the time on this show too, and he's from Fresno too, right?
He's from this area. I actually, when I was in high school, I played against that high school. I didn't play against him.
Okay.
But we used to play that high school, Fireball High School, which is about it's a little farming community out there, maybe half an hour away from where we are from.
Wow.
And that guy's story is it's crazy because coming out of high school, he wasn't highly recruited at all. He really wanted to go to Fresno State, but he didn't get offered anything. That was his dream school, of course. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh, we've heard it. But like in Hawaii, on the flip side too, we've all, the Marcus Mariota story, how, that's always brought up, how Hawaii never offered it. So
Mhm.
I don't know how true it is on both sides, and it might be, and I think it's sad because I think all your best athletes should be offered, period, whether they come or not. I mean, just to know that
Right.
they're wanted. But Josh Allen obviously having a pretty amazing career now in the NFL. What do people think now when they look back at Josh Allen?
I think people think, well, maybe if he would have came here, he wouldn't have had a career
Mm,
go the way he has. Maybe that was a good thing that he didn't get offered, made him work a lot harder.
yeah.
A lot of those kids that don't get offered have play with a chip on their shoulder, and they actually do a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's totally
So
true. That is totally
maybe
true.
I know. The year he was going into college, we had pretty rough times. I think that was a year. I think Fresno State won 3 games.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The Reuter year after his first year,
Yeah.
where he inherited what's it called, Pat Hill's players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That year they won with Derek Carr. They won the WAC championship in Vegas. The next following year, I think he would have been a freshman. So we went pretty downhill after that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was the recruiting, because obviously we lost a lot.
Yeah.
For 2 or 3 years, I believe, until Tedford came and he turned the program around. And what a wonderful coach that guy. It's a pretty big loss that we had to lose him, because of his heart condition he had. But now that we have a former offensive coordinator, should be an interesting year.
Yeah, talk about this year. Talk about what your expectations are for the team and what we can expect from the game on Saturday.
We have our local ESPN radio show today. It was on at 6, and he was talking about how they only had 3.5 weeks to get ready. I mean, I think pretty much every school's had that much time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, Fresno State is starting a new quarterback that transferred from Washington. Jake, what's his last name?
Yeah, how I don't know how to say it. Yeah, Hayner?
Something.
Yeah.
Hayner. So he's coming from a good program.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up losing his job to what's his name? God. Trying to remember the Washington quarterback.
The kind Drew. Drew Lock. Yeah.
He ended up losing the job to him. And then Fresno State was going to lose their quarterback, and there was an opening, so he transferred in, and he took the job this short, spring period we had to work out and stuff like that. So, but we have a lot of returners, especially on the offensive line, that last year had so many injuries. So there was a lot of young kids that ended up having some playing time. And then we have our 2 running backs, Ronnie Rivers. Everybody should know him by now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then Mims is another one. So they have a 1-2 punch. And then we have the wide receiver who was lights out last year, tremendous speed. What's his name? Jalen Cooper.
Okay.
And then we did lose our tight end, Jared Rice. He's a graduate. He ended up going to I forgot what. He transferred as a graduate student to another, was it Arkansas State or one of those schools? But that was one of the best receivers on the team basically last year as a tight end. So, but the returner this year, he was a really high touted JC tight end from Arizona, and this is going to be a second year with the team. So I expect the offense to be a little bit more of a passing team because they bring back, the offensive coordinator that he was for the head coach for Indiana.
He was the offensive coordinator at Indiana, and then he was like an NAIA was Sioux Falls coach and was like 67-3. Was apparently so he was like NAIA National Coach of the Year. So this could be interesting now that he has the reins back, right?
Yes. He brought in his coaching staff, and I think he kept several of them of the coaches from the last coaching
Yeah, Roman
team they had.
Sapolu, right? Was kept. So Jesse Sapolu's son,
Yeah.
Roman Sapolu, is still around.
Yeah. So that helps a lot, especially new coaches coming in, some of the players getting to know and stuff like that. But it honestly, I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I don't. I mean, the team hasn't had that much time to practice. It's been 3.5 weeks to get together. So don't expect. It could be a sloppy game to start.
No, it could be. I think expectations are just everywhere right now. UH obviously has a new coach as well, so that's already starting with the new philosophy. Because at least Fresno, that's going to be the same offense as last year, right? The same exact work and everything.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. He was the coordinator back in 2017 and 18 before he left for a year and then came back. So
okay.
The team, some of the players,
I see.
some of the players are still there that he coached. So.
Oh wow. Okay, so last year there was a different offensive coordinator last year then.
Correct.
Okay, but that looks like the same guy, Ryan Grubb. Is that him? Okay, trying to look him up. Wow. Okay. Well, Fresno, I think we don't want to take nobody. Of course, at Hawaii, we can never take anybody lightly. Literally, in the last 10 years, Hawaii has won in 2016. I was there at Fresno the last time UH won, and then the time before that, 2010. So it's been 10 years, and I was at that game too. So I was at the last two. Maybe I'll make it 3, hopefully, on Saturday. But man, I just want to thank you for joining our show, and you know how we are. We'll be in the stands again, cheering for LAFC and talking football.
I hope you enjoy your time out here. I know you'll be out of the field over there. I don't know. Would you guys are you going to be in the boxes or actually?
They said that the box is actually going to be because it's going to be distanced. They're going to just have people sitting and have Wi-Fi at different parts of the stadium and kind of have people spread out. So I guess the press will be spread out as well, which is great because obviously the further we can be away from each other, probably the safest. But also that press box is so high. Those steps are crazy at Fresno.
Oh man,
up.
that's one thing I wish one day they could fix because man, those steps. It's a good workout going up and down. Let me tell you, going up and down those steps is not fun at all.
Oh no,
not
for sure. But no. We're gonna have to have you again. We're gonna have to talk about this game again. What are your plans for watching it?
Right now, hopefully get together with a couple of friends and stuff because usually, we'd be getting ready for tailgating, but that's not gonna happen this year. None of that anytime soon. So hopefully get together, have some beers with some friends, and cheer them on.
Yep, cheer them on,
and be happy that we have our teams back on the field.
That's right. Let's be happy we can play. So 3 games. 3 days left, so we're just gonna hope that nothing crazy happens the next time. But Mr. Echeverria, we wanted to thank you for joining us, and also
no problem. Thank you for having me.
Always just being a guy to talk sports with, because that's always the best. But we'll check you next time, bro. Take care.
Oh, all right, no problem. You have a good night too.
You take care. Aloha.
The white goes. It is blocked. Hawaii has blocked the field goal by Coito Cronin.
I think when you look at
Hawaii
our
wins
perspective, sometimes
14
on our
to
end,
13.
what are we talking about? We talk about Fresno is this rival that we every year people have all kinds of nicknames for. I'm not going to repeat those nicknames, but it's always been something that has been a very aggressive rivalry. So I wanted to bring on somebody too, just to get a good, perspective from the Fresno State side. But clearly, this Fresno State, they're ready. They're going to have a lot of components to be working with as well in terms of, brand new players, new coaches, new schemes. They had their coach step down in December because of a heart condition, I believe. So, it'll be a challenge for both teams. I think, like Coach Graham said in the beginning, as we watch that, I'll play that before we leave again, that It's going to come down to making the fewest mistakes. And that's going to be really important. For anybody out there, if you have any questions, just mahalo everybody for joining us. Mahalo. Federico, my friend. LAFC. We were both in León, Mexico. Me and him watching our team play. So that's what sports has done for me. It's brought together so many people from across the world, from across the country, and they've become such great friends. And that's what sports does. It brings people together, and that's the importance, and that's why we are playing. That's why so many leagues are going forward with this, because they know just how much people love football and how much it brings people together. Yes, it's not going to be without any hiccups, probably. We're already seeing them across the league. We're already seeing, the New Mexico game has been canceled. So already, not everybody's going to have the same amount of games. So if we can get through 8 games, we're going to just cross our fingers, hope everything goes well. But keep up with us at Hawaii Sports Fans. I'm going to be on the field. I'm going to be providing you game coverage, pre-game coverage, post-game coverage, in-game coverage, all the coverage. And starting tomorrow as well, we'll be sharing a little bit more about this rivalry. But in the meantime, follow us. If you're not yet on Facebook, where you're watching us right now, follow us. But please like our page and follow us on YouTube. At Twitter is HI Sports Fans on Twitter, and HI Sports Fans on Instagram as well, wherever your favorite social media form is. But for 3 more days, that's all you have to wait. Go back and watch the beginning if you missed anything. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care. See you on Saturday at Bulldog Stadium. Aloha.